Switch my old status as I'm still the same. As when you can't live by the picture they paint. Because they know that only inner is pain. So we must live out our lives with a sense of restraint. Which means do I live and we ain't. We are controlled by the flesh, we're depicted as swain. And pray without a quitter's complaint. And being able to...
What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Red, host of the RH3 show, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. This week on the RH3 show is all about encouragement and getting yourself together. It is the last week in May, and it will be leading up to the return of the Be Positive series, which will be broadcasting each week every Thursday in the month of June. And if you're not familiar with the Be Positive series, please check the playlist below in the information box here on YouTube and also on the webpage. And on the phone is my first guest. She's a hairstylist, a trained strategic intervention coach, and also an author. I invited her on the show to become a friend to the show, as well as one of our life coach experts to discuss with us, with the men and the women of the audience, on how to get the best out of your relationship and to have a long-lasting type relationship. Her book is entitled #Men ? The 10 Commandments, and it is a woman's guide to getting the love that she wants and to never be hurt again. So please welcome to the show, Miss Tye Coe. Welcome to the show, Tye.
Thank you, Rufus. Thank you so much, and hello to everyone. I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you so much. And you know, when I first heard you, it was probably about a couple months ago, and it was an interview that you did with Olympia D here on 105.3 in the North Carolina area. And,
yes, I was on tour, and I did have an interview on that station with Miss Olympia D, and it was a pleasure. Did you enjoy that interview?
I really did, and during the interview, that's whenever I went out and purchased. Well, I bought the ebook on my tablet, and it was a blessing to me that, because you know the information that you shared and the questions she had, I'm like, wow, people need to get this book in here, because especially the men and the women can benefit from this book. And it helped me, and I'm like, I should have been, as a man, I should have been doing this, or oh God, I'm telling you.
Well, I'll tell you, Rufus, the men have really, really enjoyed this book.
Mm-hmm.
It has been very informative for the men as well as the women. My intention was to write it, for women, but
Mm-hmm.
I have been pleasantly surprised at how well the men have received this book, and it's helped you guys as well. So I'm grateful for that.
Exactly. What made you choose to write this book, #Men ? The 10 Commandments? Is it what you went through? What made you want to write this book?
Yeah, it was a few things. I mean, it was partly because of, some failed relationships, and one particular failed relationship that I had went through that really was the catalyst for the book.
Mm-hmm.
But not just for myself, but, my friends, family, clients over the years that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
They've all had, issues and several topics regarding relationships that kept coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just really at the point where I wanted to be able to help not just myself, but other women that have been really having a hard time struggling in relationships, and really give them a guide to be able to construct successful relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And also for my daughter, I dedicated it to my daughter because I didn't want her to grow up not knowing how to navigate relationships successfully. So it's really great for, young adults, young women as well, to be able to get some insight on how to best navigate and conduct themselves inside of relationships with men. So that's pretty much why I wrote it.
Exactly, exactly. And like I said before, it's a great teaching tool. And with me, whenever I was reading it and studying it and contemplating this interview, I've counted like 46 times I've highlighted or picked out things that I could share with people around me or even help with myself. So like I said, it's a great teaching. It's a great teaching tool. So big ups on that.
Thank you.
I'm an advocate of this, but while dating, should women and men date multiples, meaning not really being in a relationship but date? If so, how should they lay it out on the line to others that they are dating?
Well, I think it's very important if you're not inside of a committed relationship and you are exploring your options, so to speak, as far as dating people to get an understanding of what it is that you want. It is important to date more than one person at one time, so for a couple of reasons, especially for women. More so, especially for women, because it keeps your options open until you're ready to settle down with that one special person. And when you're dating other people, you can somewhat have a comparative analysis of people. It helps you to be able to narrow your choices. For men too, for the same type of reason, and it takes the pressure off. I mean, there's a lot less pressure if you're dating multiple people, and I'm not saying that you're necessarily having sex with these people, but definitely being able to see how your personality meshes with other personalities and be able to narrow it down. And to answer the second part of your question, as far as how to lay it out, it's important to be just very upfront and honest when you are, cultivating a new relationship with someone. So, for example, let's say I meet a new person, a new guy that wants to take me out. I will make sure and clear on the first date to let him know that, I love, hanging out with you if I do. But I do want to make it clear that I am single and dating, and I am dating a couple of people at this time. However, I'm dating with purpose, and I'm dating to find, my life mate.
Exactly.
So it's very easy to go about it. Just being upfront and honest. That's the main thing. Not just being transparent. That is so important.
Okay, with on the men's side, what should you suggest for a man who's giving a woman everything, the love, the correct amount of attention without smothering her, also treating her well, possibly the sex, and then what I mean by possibly, if they agree to it during the relationship, what should you suggest for him when he's doing all of that and she's not accepting it or receiving all of the love and respect and attention?
Well, when you say that she's not receiving it, meaning she's not reciprocating or she doesn't want it, like what do you mean more?
Maybe that's the next question, with her not accepting it or receiving it, meaning that could possibly she's hurt from the last relationship and not allowing him to love her or treat him like he's trying to with him being a good man, not letting her take him out, or just having ill will towards him due to what she has been treated on the last relationship. What should he do?
I understand what you're saying. Well, this is a situation that actually comes up quite a bit, especially for women that are broken. And it puts men in a very complicated position because on the one hand, if you have a good man that really likes a woman and is going above and beyond, it seems like, only practical that she would, accept it and reciprocate it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there's not a one part answer to this, but I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios. Okay. So the first thing, if we're dealing with a woman that has been broken and had trouble in her past relationship, she's probably pretty closed off, and the only thing that's going to really be able to get her to that phase of being able to accept and allow love from her partner is going to be some time for her to have healed from that relationship, and potentially some counseling. If you have, or if someone has, a man has been courting a woman for some time, is not really getting anywhere, it could be that she needs counseling and really needs to discover what's going on psychologically within her, and really be able to talk that out with a psychologist, a counselor, or a coach like myself. And the other part of it is a potential that maybe she's just not interested in that particular man. I mean, some women are afraid to be honest, and they're afraid of hurting, guys' feelings. So sometimes they'll play along to a degree, but instead of just saying, hey, I don't really want to date you, or I don't really want to move forward, they don't do anything. And it happens on both sides. So I think that it is most important to figure out exactly what scenario you're dealing with, or what scenario is going on with that particular woman. Because if a woman is just not interested, there's really nothing in the world that a man can do to shift that. It's not very much. Either she's going to be interested over time, or she's not.
And so I would say this, even with him, and instead of doing all of that, look, hey, sit down and talk and ask where this relationship going, because I'm not, you're not receiving what I'm trying to do for you. Should we, part ways or whatever? So, like you said, on both sides, with her, if she's not, feeling him or whatever, they should do something to, separate or, break up before anything else.
I completely agree, because it would just be sending, both parties, and especially the man, down a road of just heartache for no reason. And, at some point, if things aren't being reciprocated, you got to move on. Regardless. You just got to move on.
Even with, moving on and breaking up, is it true that almost everyone, I'll say this as well. If I break up with you, my family, friends, everyone else breaks up with you too?
Well, to a degree, and a lot of it has to do with the maturity of the people involved, and how long the relationship has been established. It's easy to say that, for relationships that are maybe a year or 2 years or less involved. But when you get into relationships where, say, people have been married, or people have been together for long periods of time, years, it's not going to be so easy just to break up with all the friends, all the family, and all of those things. I personally have been in long-term relationships where I'm still friends with my ex-significant others. We still have mutual friends, but we were both mature enough to be able to move on and be able to keep those friends. That is definitely a case-by-case basis, because everybody can't handle it the same. I recommend, as a coach, if you've been in a relationship for a couple of years or less, and you are, you've broken up and you want to be able to move on from the relationship, it is definitely best to limit the contact with friends and family and the significant others, mutual contacts, because it just makes it harder to be able to break away from that relationship. So it does have to do with, maturity levels and that sort of thing. It just depends on the people involved.
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly. Okay, I have one more question, and we're
Yeah,
gonna
gladly.
closing out the interview. But after reading this book, before the interview, I did some research and looked at some of your material. I understand that your number one commandment that people have asked, did you thought out of the book, is treat yourself like a queen. What would be your next favorite commandment out of the book, and why is that?
Well, I really love "Thou shalt treat yourself like a queen."
Yes.
It is definitely a very important commandment.
Mhm.
But my next favorite, I would say, is "Thou shalt forgive and forget."
Mhm. Mhm.
I think that forgiveness on is a very, very important part in being able to have a successful life in
Exactly.
general,
Mhm.
when it comes to not just relationships, but just life in general. So just being able to have a forgiving spirit,
Mhm.
and being able to, forget about the past and move on with the future. If I had to pick a second one, I would definitely say that would be it.
That's a good one, and I picked out two, studying and writing my notes, and I really enjoy the one about thou shalt treat your man like a king, and as
Of
well as,
course you would love that.
yes, 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 and as well as, this will be a surprise, but thou shalt not chase, because I try to teach my nieces, don't chase after no guy, don't chase after no boyfriend, because even though you're beginning in the woman's stage or whatever, let him find you, let him treat you out. Don't go out and show yourself and act ugly if around him or whatever, and don't force him to take you out. If he's not gonna do it, move on.
It's
Move on.
so
Don't
true.
chase after
You know
him.
what? That would definitely be my third favorite
Mhm.
after "Thou shalt forgive and forget,"
Mhm.
because there are so many women in 2014 that are chasing men around, and they're being hurt in these relationships, and it's partly because they're doing the chasing and they're not allowing the men to
Mhm.
be the men that they are supposed to be.
Mhm.
It's kind of turning the tables around. So,
Exactly.
yeah, if we're not chasing as women, that means we're living in our feminine energy,
Mhm.
and we're allowing the right individual to come to us, and we're allowing the relationship to flow the way that it should, with the man being the leader. And that's
Mhm.
so important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Ty, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and for calling in and talking about some of these points that we shared with you. So thank you so much for doing
Oh,
that.
my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I really appreciate talking with you today. You had some really great questions, and I hope they will be very helpful. The answers will be very helpful with your audience, and I look forward to talking to you anytime.
Thank you. And before we go, tell those who are listening and watching where they can get in contact with you, your social media handles, where they can purchase your book, and or any events that you have coming on in the future.
Absolutely. Well, as far as for coaching, I people can reach me on my website at tyecoe.com, and that's TYECOE.com. The book can be purchased on Amazon.com or Barnes and Nobles.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much anywhere you can find a book,
Mm-hmm.
it's available. And the name of the book is, like Rufus said, #men, the 10 Commandments. And as far as social media, I am on Twitter at Tye Coe, TYECOE, and Facebook and Instagram, the same thing. So it's just my name, TYECOE. And if anybody's in the New York City area, we do have an event coming up in June. It's a cocktails and conversation event that's going to be happening at the Carlton Hotel, and it's on June the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the next event that's coming up. We're gearing up for some new tour dates, and I'll be able to update you on the website. You can go to the website and just keep abreast of where I'm going, where I'll be, and maybe I'll be back in North Carolina pretty soon.
Exactly. Well, you all, if you've missed anything, what she said and what she shared, her website, book purchases, or anything from today's episode, you can go to the website rh3show.weebly.com or check the information box under this video. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Tye, again. I really do appreciate you, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you, Rufus.
Thank you all.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. And again, y'all, to purchase her book, check anything below, and we'll get back with you. And please check her out on her social media handles. Know that I love you for real, and I'll see you next time here on the RH3 Show.
Praise because he set me free. Like said he paid free me at Calvary.